You've seen this happen a million times. A puddle on the sidewalk just disappears. A kettle on the stove starts screaming. Both are just water turning into gas, right? Well, not quite. It turns out that in science, these are two totally different things: evaporation and vaporization. And once you see the difference, you'll see it everywhere.
So, let me just ask you this straight up. Picture this. You're making some tea. You've got a kettle of water boiling away. It's bubbling like crazy. Steam is pouring out. What would you call that process?
Now, if your first thought was evaporation, hey, you're not alone. That's what almost everybody says. But believe it or not, that's not the right answer. And the reason why it takes us down to a tiny, invisible world where all the real action happens.
Yeah, to really get this, we have to shrink ourselves way, way down. I'm talking molecular level small. So let's dive right into a single drop of water and see what's actually going on in there.
Okay, so imagine any liquid is basically a massive chaotic crowd of molecules. They're all just bumping and buzzing around each other, constantly moving. And, just like in any crowd, you've got your really energetic ones and you've got your more chill ones. They're all kind of held together by these invisible forces, almost like they're holding hands, which is what makes it a liquid.
And all that energy of motion? Well, that has a name. It's called kinetic energy. And it's really simple. The more kinetic energy a molecule has, the faster it moves and zips around. This one little idea, it's the key to this whole thing.
All right, first up, let's talk about evaporation. Think of this as the silent escape artist. This is how liquids can turn into gas without any of the drama. No bubbling, no boiling. And it's happening all around us right now.
So here's the official definition, and there are two parts that are absolutely crucial. Evaporation is when a liquid turns to gas, but it only happens at the surface. And second, it can happen at pretty much any temperature. It doesn't need to be boiling hot.
So check this out. Since this is a surface-only deal, it's only the most hyped-up molecules, the ones with the most kinetic energy, right at the very top, that have enough juice to break free and escape into the air. And think about it. If all the fastest, most energetic molecules leave the party, what happens to the average energy of everyone who's left? It drops. That is exactly why evaporation causes a cooling effect.
And you know this from your own life. A puddle on the pavement doesn't need to boil to go away, right? It just slowly vanishes. That's evaporation. And this is precisely how sweating works. That sweat on your skin evaporates, and as it does, it literally pulls heat energy away from your body, making you feel cooler. It's your body's own personal air conditioner.
Okay, so if evaporation is the quiet, sneaky escape, then what happens when you crank up the heat and add a ton of energy? Well, that's when you get vaporization. This isn't a quiet escape. It's a loud, all-out jailbreak.
And the definition here is just as specific. Vaporization is also a liquid turning into a gas, and here's the huge difference, it only happens when the entire liquid hits a very specific temperature, its boiling point. For water, that's 100 degrees Celsius or 212 Fahrenheit.
So unlike evaporation, this is not just happening at the surface. It's what's called a bulk phenomenon, meaning it's happening everywhere inside the liquid. You're pumping energy into all the molecules at once, even the ones way down at the bottom. When they get enough energy, boom, they turn into gas right there, and that's what forms those bubbles. It's fast, it's violent, and since you're just adding heat, there's no cooling effect whatsoever.
And this takes us right back to our kettle. Those bubbles you see, they're not just air. Nope. Each and every one is a little pocket of water that is turned into steam from deep inside the pot, and it's rising up to escape. That is vaporization in action.
All right, now let's put them side by side and really lock in the differences.
This chart lays it all out perfectly. Let's look at location. Evaporation is a surface-only gig. Vaporization happens through the whole liquid. What about temperature? Evaporation is casual. It happens whenever. Vaporization is picky, only at the boiling point. And the effect is the big giveaway. Evaporation is nature's AC. It causes cooling. Vaporization, no cooling involved. They really are two completely different things.
Okay, so armed with all this new knowledge, let's go back to that first question. You're in your kitchen, that kettle is whistling away. What is the correct scientific term for what you're seeing?
You got it. It's vaporization. It's a bulk process happening at a specific boiling point with bubbles forming throughout the liquid. There you go. You've just correctly identified a fundamental process of physics.
So the next time you feel a cool breeze on your skin after a swim, or you hear a pot of water start to boil, you'll know exactly what's going on at the molecular level. And it really makes you wonder, doesn't it?
What other huge, incredible science is hiding in the most ordinary moments of our day?